Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast.
Good to be back.
Today, we're focusing on Taylor Morrison Home Corp, a major national home builder. You sent over information covering their recent performance, financial health, and, their position in the housing market.
That's right.
Our goal today is really to unpack all of this and pull out the most critical insights for you listening.
We've got their Q1 2025 earnings, which came out April 23rd, plus a general overview of the company and its industry. We'll explore what's behind their recent results and maybe what that signals for the future.
Okay, let's get right into it then. Q1 2025 performance highlights. Looks like they had pretty significant growth on the top line.
They did. Total revenue was up 11.5% compared to last year, reached $1.9 billion.
Wow.
And a big chunk of that, $1.8 billion, came from home closings revenue, which itself was up 12%. So strong closing activity.
And it wasn't just revenue volume, right? Profitability looked pretty stable, too.
It did. Their gross margin on those home closings held steady at 24.0%. But interestingly, the adjusted gross margin actually ticked up to 24.8%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's up 80 basis points year over year. It does suggest they're, managing their costs effectively.
Okay. Now, here's something that caught my eye. Revenue and margins are looking good, but it seems new orders actually dipped.
That's the contrast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Net sales orders decreased by 8%, came in at 3,374 homes.
Okay.
And their absorption rate, how many homes they sell per community per month, that also declined, down to 3.3 from 3.7 in Q1 last year.
So what do we make of that? Feels like we need to look at the bigger picture, the housing market itself.
I think so. We know mortgage rates are elevated. Affordability is still a major constraint for buyers across the board.
Right.
And if you look around, this order decline, well, kind of lines up with trends we've seen reported by some peers, like Lennar and D.R. Horton.
Okay. So maybe less a company-specific issue and more of a sector-wide pressure right now?
It seems plausible. Those macroeconomic factors are definitely having an impact.
Got it. But even with that order softness, they still control a lot of land, correct?
They do. That's a key point. They've got about 86,266 lots in their control.
That's substantial.
It is. And what's really interesting is that a large portion, 59%, is under off-balance sheet control.
Off-balance sheet. Explain what that means for them practically. More flexibility.
Essentially, yes. It gives them agility. Holding land this way means they don't carry all the associated debt or asset burden directly on their main balance sheet.
Okay.
So if market conditions shift, they potentially have more leeway to adjust development plans or land spend without such a direct financial strain compared to owning it all outright. It's about capital efficiency and risk management.
Makes sense. And it also looks like they're focused on returning value to shareholders, share buybacks.
In Q1, they repurchased 2.2 million shares for about $135 million.
Okay.
Plus, they're maintaining a strong liquidity position around $1.3 billion. Gives them quite a bit of financial flexibility overall.
And efficiency seems to be improving internally, too. You mentioned cost management earlier.
The SG&A numbers point that way. Selling, general, and administrative expenses. As a percentage of their revenue, that decreased. It went from 10.4% last year down to 9.7% this Q1.
So, squeezing more out of each dollar of revenue?
Looks like it. Points towards better operational efficiency.
Okay, so let's zoom out again. Considering these market challenges, how does Taylor Morrison kind of position itself against its main competitors?
Well, one advantage they seem to have is a diversified business model. They're not just focused on one segment.
Right, they cater to different buyers.
Exactly. From entry-level homes all the way up to luxury and different product types, too. Plus, they lean heavily on their brand recognition.
That America's Most Trusted Home Builder title they mentioned.
For 10 years running, yeah. That kind of reputation can certainly help in a competitive market. And the main competitors, as you'd expect, are the big national players. Lennar, D.R. Horton, Polta Group.
The heavy hitters. Got it. All right, let's shift to financial health and valuation. Profitability seems strong in Q1 despite the order dip.
Quite strong. Net income was $213 million. That translates to $2.07 per diluted share.
And adjusted.
Adjusted EPS was even higher, $2.18. And that figure represents a pretty significant 25% increase year over year.
25%, wow. And how's the market valuing the stock right now? Key ratios.
Well, the price-to-earnings ratio, the PE, is sitting around 8.66. Within the home building sector, that looks competitive. It's actually lower than some of its peers.
Which could suggest potential undervaluation?
You could. Or perhaps just different growth expectations baked in. It's always relative to the industry. Their return on equity, ROE is around 15.28%.
Which is pretty healthy.
Indicates strong equity performance, yeah? Shows they're generating decent profit from shareholder investments compared to some others. And the price to book, PB ratio, is about 1.28.
So trading slightly above the book value of its asset.
Correct. Not uncommon for profitable companies in this space.
And looking ahead, they have some pretty ambitious growth targets, don't they?
They do. They've stated a long-term goal of reaching approximately 20,000 annual home closings by fiscal year 2028.
Okay, 20,000 closings. That's a big number. So let's try and balance this out. What are the key opportunities and the potential risks facing Taylor Morrison?
On the opportunity side, well, there's that growth target itself.
Right.
Achieving that would be significant. The ongoing share buyback program could continue to support the stock.
Right.
And there's potential for further margin expansion if they keep improving that operational efficiency we talked about.
And the flip side, the risks. I imagine interest rates are high on that list.
Absolutely. Prolonged high interest rates are a major macro risk for the whole sector. That recent softness in their net sales orders is definitely a risk factor to monitor closely.
Makes sense.
And then you have potential land cost inflation, always a factor for builders.
Yeah.
Plus the broader risks, supply chain issues popping up again, regulatory changes, just general housing market volatility.
Standard industry challenges, essentially. Yeah. Who's leading the company through all this?
The CEO and chairman is Sheryl Palmer. She's been there a while and has a track record of delivering, pretty solid operational metrics and overseeing strategic growth.
And strategy-wise, it really seems to circle back to that land approach.
It does seem central. That focus on land acquisition, especially with that significant chunk kept off balance sheet, really underscores their emphasis on cost flexibility and capital management.
Okay. So if we try to summarize Taylor Morrison, we're seeing a company with strong recent financials revenue. Margins look good. They have a well-recognized brand.
Definitely.
But that dip in new orders and the broader economic climate, especially around interest rates and affordability, those are definitely things to keep a very close eye on.
I agree. And their strategic focus on land, using that off-balance sheet approach, plus returning cash via buybacks. Those are key elements of how they're navigating things.
It seems like they have some strengths to lean on.
They do. The really interesting thing to watch now is how effectively that recent strong performance and their strategic positioning allow them to navigate these potential headwinds in the market. Their ability to manage costs, manage land, and still pursue growth in this environment. That's going to be critical.
We hope this exploration has given you a clearer picture of Taylor Morrison's recent developments and some of the key things to think about regarding the company moving forward. As always, please remember to do your own thorough research before making any investment decisions.
Absolutely critical.
And if you found this breakdown valuable, please do subscribe, like, and maybe leave us a comment. Let us know about any other companies or topics you'd like us to unpack in future discussions.
We'd appreciate that. And maybe a final thought for you to consider. Given how important those off-balance sheet land holdings seem to be for Taylor Morrison's strategy and flexibility, how might potential changes in accounting standards or regulations around those types of arrangements impact their reported financials or even their strategy down the road? Something to keep in the back of your mind.